Hey, good morning, everyone. Get Erev Shabbos on a chilly Friday. Uh, we're finishing up the Yosef stories in the next couple of weeks, and a big part has to do with the dreams that Yosef had, that the butler had, the baker had, the paro had. I want to focus a little bit on how the rabbinic sources view the whole perspective on dreams. What's the meaning of dreams, specifically in Sefer Bereshis, but elsewhere? How do Chazal understand dreams? And how do the Rishonim and Achronim approach dream interpretation? And also, briefly to touch on the fact whether or not, or to what extent, there's an impact on halacha, if dreams impact halacha on that. So, number one, it's important to understand that according to the Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu was the only Navi who communicated directly with Hashem. All the Nevi'im in Tanakh, including Avraham, all the Nevi'im received their prophecies through dreams. So obviously dreams can be very important and very meaningful. On the other hand, the Navi Zechariah mentions that dreams are meaningless. Without getting into the more modern interpretation of the psychological impact of dreams and how what happened during the day might impact what happened. There are a lot of interpretations. Freud and Jung and all the psychologists deal with dream interpretation. But from a halachic perspective or a Torah perspective, on the one hand, dreams can be very, very meaningful. All the prophets received their nevuos through dreams. On the other hand, we have to be able to distinguish which dreams are important and which may not be. The Gemara, in fact, states that every time you have a dream, for the average person, it's considered to be 1/60th of a nevuah, which means that there's a partial truth, perhaps, in every dream, which perhaps anticipates the psychological interpretation of dreams. On the other hand, 1/60th in halachic terminology also means bitul, nullification. That's such a small amount is insignificant. So how do you, again, we come against these two conflicting concepts. On the one hand, a dream is partial nevuah. On the other hand, the part is considered insignificant in halachic terms. And the Gemara has many discussions about dreams. If you have a dream that certain property belongs to you, or that certain produce is Masa Sheni, you could ignore the dream. Because dreams, according to that particular Gemara, are insignificant. On the other hand, if you have a dream, according to a different Talmudic text, that you were put into nidui, if you were excommunicated or if you were in some way punished by the community, you have to convene a bezdin to annul that nidui. So, because since every dream may have elements of truth in it, perhaps there's some significance to that thing. So, yeah, again, there's a conflict. On one hand, you don't accept it. On the other hand, for personal status, perhaps you would.
Well,
yes.
If somebody has a bad dream, they fast the next day. And there's a whole discussion in the Gemara if you can fast on Shabbos if you had a bad dream Friday night.
We will get to that. And also, since you bring it up, I was going to mention it later, but I'll mention it now as well. During Birkas Kohanim, while the Kohanim are singing, you say the Ribono Shel. The truth is,
you're not supposed.
You shouldn't be saying Ribono Shel unless you, in fact, have had a dream that disturbs you and you don't know what it means. That Ribono Shel was put in there based on a teaching that if you had a bad dream, you should ask Hashem that it should work out well and things shouldn't be bad. And the best time to do this is during Birkas Kohanim. So that Ribono Shel Olam only refers to people who had a dream. Chalom shechalamti ve'en yodea mahi. Those are the text. Look at the words. And otherwise, it's considered a hefsek in the Birchas Kohanim, in the Duchening. So look at the words next time. We're not going to have Duchening for a while until, I guess, till Pesach. But during Pesach, when you're Kohanim are Duchening, unless you've had a dream that disturbs you, you just focus on the words of the Birchas Kohanim, and you don't say the Ribono Shel Olam. That's considered an interruption. But again, what you're saying is very true. This shows, again, the impact of dreams, that dreams can be very, very significant in terms of how we react to them.
Rabbi?
Yeah.
Derech Agav, in addition to that Ribono Shel Olam during the Duchening, so because here we don't Duchen, like every Shabbos or anything. So is there some other tefillah or paragraph or something that someone should say if they have a bad dream when there is no Duchening going to happen?
Well, I know. So again, what you can do is you can fast the day afterwards, and there are some Sidurim do carry some of these prayers about people who fast because of a bad dream. There are certain prayers that are medieval in their origin that people can recite if they're disturbed by a dream. Yes. But fasting is definitely something that people do after a bad dream. Okay, moving on. There are many Maimarei Chazal. How do you know? This is a fascinating text. How do we know if a dream is real or not? And it depends on to Gemara Brachos. And Gemara said, how do you know if a dream is real or not? So it depends. Was the dream brought to you by an angel or by a demon? I'm not sure I understand what that means. And we don't know about angels. Angels and demons are a whole other discussion. But the Gemara makes a distinction between the two. Certain dreams, and the Rishonim already intuited this. The Tashbates in the 15th century says that dreams are caused by external factors. What you were thinking about during the day, something that happened to you, perhaps something that you ate, and you can't rely on that. On the other hand, sometimes dreams do contain a kernel of truth. If you have a dream containing a discussion relevant to a halacha, again, concerning monetary matters, nidui, as I mentioned before, do you rely on that? If you were wrestling over an interpretation in Tosfos and it came to you in a dream, that's fine if it works out. If you have a shaila and you were wrestling with how to paskin a halacha, and the Rabbi Rutenberg had this, and just the solution to a complex issue came to him in a dream, and that's how he paskined. The Shach disagrees with the psak of the Maharam, not on its basis, but primarily because he got the answer in a dream. And you don't paskin based on a dream. So there's this whole discussion among the poskim, even to the extent of the impact on halacha, if you have a dream that tells you something about a situation that you're dealing with. The Abarbanel talks about the dreams that are partial prophecy, and that only happens if your mind is totally clear. If you have no connection to what he calls gashmius. Gashmius, I don't translate gashmius, earthly concerns. If you are totally a spiritual person, then you can have prophecy through dreams, which is why there's no more prophecy today anymore, because people do not have total clarity of mind and focus, and they're totally free of all external factors. So we don't have people on that same madrega anymore, and that's why prophecy ceased. The Abarbanel also talks about 3 different types of dreams. Number one, the nevuah of a navi. a meaningless dream that maybe because of indigestion or something we did during the day. And a third is perhaps a message that is given to certain individuals by Hashem, like the way Hashem communicated to Avimelech or to Lavan or to Paro. So those are different types of dreams that the Mefarshim talk about. Prophecy, again, is relegated to a very select few people. However, when you have very powerful dreams that upset you, as in the case of Paro, the baker, and the what was the other fellow, the baker and the wine steward, nevertheless, they are upsetting, and therefore they require some type of interpretation. Most people, in all probability, everybody dreams. That's get out of the table. Everybody dreams at night when they sleep. 99% of us don't remember that dream when we wake up in the morning. At the time, it may have been very powerful and strong, but it's very rare when you wake up in the morning that you remember what you dreamt about. If you do remember it, then that enters into that discussion that we're having here in terms of how truthful it is, what impact it might have on you. And again, Nevi'im received their communication from Hashem through a dream. We're not on that madrega. The Rishonim have a whole discussion about this. The Rashba talks about somebody who took a vow in a dream. Does that require Hataras Nedarim? I dreamt that I took a vow. And there's discussion about that. And the Rashba paskins, so you have to gather a minyan and have Hataras Nedarim, because maybe you did, in fact, take a neder. The Rosh talks about this as well, and he says you have to be, for folk, totally conscious. You can't take a neder in a dream. So there's a machlokas we've shown him about that. However, he raises the issue, but nevertheless, even though you can't take a neder in a dream, maybe it's Hashem's way of telling you that you better straighten out and do something right, or Hashem may punish you for something or curse you for something. So you have to hedge your bets there. And there are different types of nedarim. And I'm not going into details about it, but there's a lot of discussion about promises and nedarim that you take during your dreams and what impact it has once you wake up. Another area, it's very important, and we see it with Yosef, dream interpretation. There were people who interpret dreams. That's their job. That's their that's their ability. There are fascinating stories about this in the Gemara. A person had a dream that was very upsetting, and he went to 24 different dream interpreters, and he got 24 different interpretations, and each one came true. Fascinating Gemara. Which means that all dreams follow how they are being interpreted. Kasher Parsal Lanu, Torah says, Kain Haya. The way it was interpreted, that's how it worked out. So if you have more than one interpretation, that opens up all kinds of other possibilities. On the other hand, the Gemara continues the discussion that the interpretation really has to fit the context of the dream. As in the case of Yosef's interpretation of the baker and the wine steward. A number of years ago, I came in contact with a lovely woman from France. I think she was Algerian. She lives in Muncie, and she was a very, very fine teacher. She taught at Yavne for many years, or she taught for me when I was at Kushner. Mora Charlene, very fine woman. Her job in Muncie, where she lived, people would come to her for dream interpretation. She didn't charge, but people came. She was known as a dream interpreter. I don't know where you pick up the skill, maybe from her mother, maybe, I don't know. But women came to her with their dreams, and she interpreted it for them. And that was, I guess, I don't know, a sideline or a hobby. But there are dream interpreters. And this is one of the functions of Hasidic Rebbes as well, where people go to them and ask them to interpret dreams. But dream interpretation is not based on a whim. There are certain rules. To what extent Ruach HaKodesh plays a role in it is interesting. The job of a dream interpreter is to extract whatever nevuah there might be in that dream, because every dream has in it kernels of truth. Again, the psychological interpretation would be that every dream that you have reflects on something that was concerning you during the day. These dreams don't occur out of nowhere. They come because there's something that might be bothering you, or an issue that you are troubled by that you can't articulate. So dreams are very, very important. There are some people who don't dream. Very rare. Almost everybody has a dream, but as I said, most people do not remember their dreams when they wake up in the morning. There are, again, the Achronim talk about many, many different types of dreams. This discussion that I don't really understand about which dreams came through a malach and which dreams came through a shade, a demon. And that whole world of angels and demons is a very murky one that I don't really claim to understand. But there's a big discussion about this because dream interpretation was very, very important. If you are disturbed by a dream that you had, a dream about a death, a dream about financial ruin, a dream about illness, whatever it might be, the halacha would require you to gather 3 people, like a mini bezdin, discuss the dream with them, just to feel better. That's pretty much what you do. If you are very, very disturbed by the dream, then during Birkas Kohen, as we mentioned, you recite Ribono Shel Olam and ask for divine assistance in understanding the dream, or it should not work out to your detriment. Okay. The Rambam says today, the Rambam is the extreme rationalist. He was now Aristotelian, if you want to look at it that way. And he says dreams today are meaningless. Since Nevuah has ceased, dreams today are meaningless. If you have a bad dream, all right, you could fast. But he omits the whole business about praying during Birkas Kohanim. And, it's a recommendation. As the expression goes, it can't hurt. It can't hurt. Does it do any good? If it makes you feel better, fine. The Rambam was not a big fan of it. He omitted fasting as well if you have a bad dream. Okay. The Shulchan Aruch, however, codifies the whole notion of what they call hatavas chalom, I don't know, exercise is the wrong word, to make sure that the dream is not to your detriment, put it that way. How do you translate hatavas chalom? And how you translate it? There should be a positive outcome to the dream. Be a positive outcome, make you feel better. You shouldn't feel bad. But the Shulchan Aruch does include that as part of during Birkas Kohanim, as a halacha, that if you have a dream that you were disturbed by, you should ask that it not be negative during Birkas Kohanim. In halacha, and this is I find fascinating, there's a certain fish called burbita. And it's a machlokas whether it's a kosher fish or not. And the Rosh talks about having a dream where one of his ancestors ate this burbita fish. And someone else said, no, you shouldn't have done it. In the end, he decides to prohibit it. But again, poskim who dream about, it takes a special person to dream in halachic terms. But if you have dreams about halacha, because that's what you're involved in all day long, and it affects what you do at night as well. So your dreams about halachic discussions, sometimes they poskin based on a dream. The Radvaz had a dream about changing from Rabbeinu Tam's tefillin to Rashi's tefillin. Again, it was an impetus to revisit the issue. He wanted, well, the dream said he should convert. He was wearing Rabbeinu Tam's tefillin, and the dream said, no, you should switch to Rashi's tefillin. And ultimately, he retracted his psak based on the dream. But that's the terminology that the Achronim talked about. They mentioned the Maharam's psak and the Shach disagreeing with it. Bottom line is, and this psychologist will confirm the halakha discussion based on the Gemara, that dreams are and can be very significant. They don't reveal prophecies. They're not necessarily God speaking to you. Dreams can be influenced by your daily activities or by your subconscious. What's going on that you can't articulate during the day, or things that might be troubling you do have an effect on you. And as I said, most of the time, you don't remember what you dreamt about. But if you do remember and it troubles you, then you have a number of options. If it's near Yantif, you say Ribono Shalom during Berchas Kohanim. If it's in between the Chagim, then you can definitely either fast, or in some cases gather three men for a mini bezdin and do some type of hataras nedarim, if you will, type of ceremony where you can ask them to expunge any negativity that might have caused you to be upset in that dream. So the bottom line is, of course, that dreams are significant. And all these years later, we still don't fully comprehend how the brain works. If you are a stature of a Navi, God can talk to you through a dream when you're not fully conscious. But other than the Nevi'im, the average person has dreams that can be very, very impactful. Whether it's a business decision that you were struggling with, whether it's a halachic decision you were working on, interpretation of a piece of Gemara, whatever it might be, if there's something that's bothering you tremendously during your waking hours, very often it comes back to you at night when you're sleeping, sometimes in a positive way, and unfortunately sometimes in a negative way. And the halakha acknowledges both. So I wish you all a good night's sleep and only positive dreams. Any questions?
Careful in snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wally, it makes sense that you can't use a dream to paskin, because even if you hear a bas kol, you don't believe it, and that's Hashem talking.
Well, this is a difficult thing. I mean, there were some poskim who relied on a dream to paskin, although they reversed themselves afterwards. But if we understand that it could be Hashem or an angel communicating to you, if you're on that madrega, then let me rephrase it. Every dream does not have to be taken literally, but can be taken seriously.
Yeah.
And if it upsets you, or if it helps, or very often a dream can help clarify an issue. If you're struggling with an issue, if you're a community rabbi and there's an issue that you've been trying to work out, and sometimes the solution comes to you in a dream. It can happen. If you're a businessman and should I go through with this deal? Should I not go through with it?
That's your subconscious working.
So it's your subconscious. They didn't have a term for it, but it's your subconscious can work out some of these details when your mind is at rest, when you're sleeping, and it could come to you in a dream. You wake up in the morning and say, I have the answer, I have the solution. So it can work positively, or it can sometimes work negatively. There's still much that we don't understand about the subconscious, and what psychologists are interpreting, Freud and Jung and others, are simply a reworking of what the rabbis have been talking about for centuries. Because people understand that dreams are real, and sometimes they are very, very real, that you feel that somebody is communicating with you, whether it's a dead ancestor, whatever it might be. I mean, that famous scene in Fiddler on the Roof, when the Frumafera, why I wrote it? Because it's part of the culture. People believe people can connect with you through a dream. So there's much that we still don't understand, but the rabbis were wrestling with these issues. Anything else? Okay. I wish you only good dreams.
Thanks.
Wonderful, safe Shabbos. Watch out for the snow.
Yep. Have a good Shabbos. Thank you, Wally.
Okay. Have a good Shabbos, Howie.
Take care.